Follow-up is, in any business on customer service, is important.
I'm an amateur photographer, so I have another photograph. This is a single-family house 2 streets over, and there are 4 Republican extras on their front porch. I'm not, you don't see it necessarily.
Well,
it's there now. I passed by it this morning. There are still 4, probably 5 I think, actually at this point.
you ever tell me where?
It's on Kensington Street and Kensington Road, whatever, in Northampton. But my main issue, and the one that I've had discussions with the Northampton City Councilor, actually the President of the Northampton City Council, has to do with this issue right here. And I know you've seen this before, but I'm wondering if you could address how I mean, that is about as plain as it could possibly be, that prohibits exactly what you're doing. I mean, it's black and white, it's unequivocal, but it's against the Northampton City ordinance.
We worked with the Gazette, or excuse me, the Northampton City Council, and have come to an agreement with them to correct the problem in Northampton.
What was their solution?
The agreement we made with them is that they would go to the door or to the hall.
So
you saw the 2 pictures previously that were obviously in the gutter and on the sidewalk, so obviously that's not happening. I mean,
well, again, I'm going to go back to, there's how many streets in Northampton and Florence? I mean, we expect a performance, but we can't be on every street. Please understand, realistically, we can't be on every street
to make
checking every single delivery of, in this case, let me just finish, please, 8,200 copies going between Northampton and Florence. We can't check every single house. So do we depend on somebody, eyes and ears out there? Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you have a certain number of these supplements that you are indeed delivering all over the Pioneer Valley, so you're able to tell Stop and Shop and all your, you've got this many supplements going out, so they are getting an idea in their heads of how their revenue is being spent to reach X number of people because we're delivering X number of these supplements, when in reality, the percentage of people who are actually reading these things, I don't know what the percentage is. Do you have an idea?
I don't have any idea. And Stop and Shop and Big Y, I'm sure, have a formula in their marketing department to figure that out. I can't answer that question.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they do have a formula, but it's based on what you're telling them you're distributing, and the reality is that it's probably only 10 or 20% of that number. So if Stop and Shop and Big Y were to know that, I'm not sure that they would want to pay those dollars for.
They do.
Yeah. 80%, and we don't know what the percentage is actually, but I certainly wouldn't want to pay for 80% of my advertising to end up in a landfill.
Right. Right.
And the people that I've seen in people's driveways, 3-4 days afterwards, I would say the percentage is pretty high. I've talked to, out of all the walking that I do, I've talked to 3 people that actually do look in, and one of them just uses it because she takes care of the stray cats in the neighborhood and there's Friskies deals in there. But I would say that there's a higher percentage of people that don't want them than do, and that's why I was making the suggestion, as other people have made the suggestion, to opt in. And the other thing is, somebody emailed me this morning and said, thank God there's no other people out there that want to take this advertising thing on and start throwing other stuff in my yard. Because then we'd have a real mess. Just because the Republican is doing this with the extras, but what happens if, Domino's decides to? I mean, they still hang things on doors and put things by mailbox. I don't eat at Domino's. That's me. But I don't want this stuff in my yard. So what makes it okay for you? And all of a sudden, if somebody else gets the idea,
Absolutely.
like Clay decides, well, we need to get more business, so we're going to start throwing signs in people's yards, or Casey decides that Venus and the Cellar Bar and Apollo Grill need to have more business, let's start throwing little extras in their yards with coupons.
Yeah, we can sell advertising, because we can tell them there's 100,000 people getting these things.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I
in
want
reality,
people to
only-
listen to my music, so I'm gonna throw CDs in people's yards. I mean, at least that's a little better, but, you know, or pictures of myself or something, you know, I don't know. But like, or Jean-Pierre wants more business custom framing and throws coupons in people's yards. Or the Valley Quarterly, which we get in the mail, decides they don't wanna pay postage anymore, so they're gonna throw them in our yards. I mean, now we have, the entire community becomes a landfill.
Absolutely.
You know, and so like, what's to stop these people from
I
doing
mean,
it?
what's your legal point to do this and other companies don't?
I can answer that.
Well, isn't it,
This
it's
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
has been
It's
an
about money.
ongoing process of how Big Wine and Stop and Shop gets their advertising out.
So maybe those.
And other flyers, there's other flyers in there too, besides this.
But what prevents you from putting it into people's, on the porch or on the hook that's in the mailbox? I noticed on Florence Road, they are all on the hooks, but it's because the driver can actually reach.
Mhm.
As soon as he can't reach, he's too lazy to get out of his car and bring it to the porch.
I
So
think
it's-
it's part of
so
the
it's a
contract
matter
they
of-
made with the, it's
So I
this,
don't know if he's paid by the minute,
Yeah.
No, we can pay for these.
Right, yeah.
by the piece.
Mhm.
Well, then he should make an effort and get out of his car and actually not litter our properties.
Absolutely, he should, that's what he's contracted to do, is to either put them on the porch or on the hook.
And you're
We're
gonna,
not
you're
doing
gonna
it,
try
we're not
to
doing
make
it.
that happen more, right? So that's great. And that's
I also realized that, you know, on your, I looked at your website, and that's obviously where those core values came from. And another one of the listed core values is operational excellence. And, you know, I can't help but think that from your advertiser's point of view, I would, if I were a Big Y media buyer, or whatever they call them, I would be happy to pay the same amount of money for 80% fewer deliveries or penetration, whatever you want to call it, knowing that the other 20% were actually going to people who wanted them, rather than ending up as trash, litter, or recycling, whatever. I mean, why would I want to pay as a Big Y manager for my advertising to end up in a recycling bin without anybody ever looking at it? Now, I just
know
my
that
wife
it's
and I
so
were driving
controversial.
through Northampton the other day, and I happened to see some guy with a clear plastic trash bag, and as clear as day, you can see 3 purple bags in this trash bag that he was taking to the recycling center. I mean, Northampton,
But I'm just curious about that person who wouldn't pick up the phone. Just, you know, he picks it, brings it in, he puts it in the bag, he can make a phone call and say,
Is it obvious to them where to call?
it's right on the
It's on
bag,
the
it's
bag.
right on the
Right on the
bag,
bag.
Republican Extra, 788, 1100.
but should it be
We do
incumbent
get calls, we
on
do get
the
calls.
resident, should it be incumbent on the resident to take action to stop doing something that shouldn't have been done to begin with? I mean, yeah, that's the point here.